Welcome back. This is our last session, and of course it's probably the last step in your panel design, which is the actual fabrication of your panel, turning that panel into something that you're going to be putting in your aircraft. When people fabricate, there's generally several different ways they go at this. One, they'll use hand cutting tools to hand cut the aluminum. Second, they will take this to a shop where they have either a laser jet or a water jet and have the panel fabricated that way. The third way is there's a product called Panel Pro, which many avionics shops use, which actually is meant for creating instrument panels. And either one of those ways that you decide you want to fabricate, Panel Planner can help you. And let me describe each one and give you ideas of how to help you better fabricate your instrument panel using Panel Planner. However, before we go into that, there's a real touchy subject we have to bring up, and that's called mounting screws. Mounting screws are often shown in the drawings that come from the manufacturer, and whenever we can see them, we will put them on our master drawing. However, I found that if a mounting screw is off by 1/32 of an inch, what happens is it makes the next one off 2/32 and 3/32, and it's a multiplying factor. So it's very important that your mounting screws be exact. And in that vein, what I've also suggested is our software will allow you not to cut out the mounting screws. You can select that as a section not to cut, and you can then manually create the holes for your mounting holes. So you can take like a Sharpie and then mark on the plastic sheet where every single one of the mounting holes on the panel are, and then use a hand punch or a drill to actually put the hole locations so you have them exactly where they need to be. And again, we just caution you, mounting screws, because some aircraft have them in very precise locations, it's important to be just double care when you're mounting your physical panel. Now, this section I have underlined 3 times because it's very important. Always cut something cheap first. I'll say it again, always cut something cheap first. It's really important because behind an instrument panel there's many things that can happen that can restrict where you can place an instrument. There are big bundles of cables, or there could be an obstruction, there could be a mounting. And with that types of problems, it really restricts where you can place your instruments and how deep you can go. Sometimes the fuselage is curved at the edges, and that will restrict how you can mount. So what I ask of you, in fact I dearly ask of you, is when you cut something cheap. Now, if you're cutting with a hand tool, you can cut paper. That's no sweat. You can cut a sheet of paper and lay that over. If you're going through a laser jet or a water jet, then you can have them cut something like plastic, mylar plastic that you can actually see through, so that when you lay that plastic on your panel, you can see where the obstructions are and you can see how deep behind the panel your instruments are going to be allowed to go. Really, it's a cheap way of making sure. And by the way, in the 25 years we've been selling Panel Planner, I have not had one customer out of our thousands who have ever complained that they cut something cheap first to just double check, that making sure everything is going to work. So it's really worthwhile to do it. So if you have a laser jet, water jet, plastic, if you're hand cutting, use paper. Now if you have the Panel Pro, the thing that I would ask of you is when you're exporting the DXF files, do them in separate layers. And that's important because the Panel Pro comes with its own software. They have their own CAD application, and it's very much into setting up layers. The layers for holes, the layers for the outside of the panel, all of these things are separated, and with a Panel Planner you can give Panel Pro a better head start by giving them layers. You are still going to be doing work inside of their software to get your panel cut set up, but however, how you work with Panel Planner can make that job a little bit easier. So when you export in Panel Planner, you'll see there's also a variety of settings, so that if the manufacturer has already given you a piece of aluminum that's already set for that panel, and then all you have to do is cut holes in that, Panel Planner will allow you to set just the instruments as an option to cut. And again, I can't say it enough, please cut something cheap first just to make sure everything's going to work. Modify, check your mounting screws, and certainly use us. I will tell you, besides the setup, the most common place people call and ask for help is when they're actually fabricating, when they're working with their shops and they need to either have DXF or DWG files or something that's unique for that particular shop, and we'll be glad to support you in that process. Because this is the last step before you actually fly that panel, is fabricating. So, to end, we want to thank you for being a customer. We want to tell you that there's nothing but value we find in working with you and being able to design a great panel. We have thousands of happy customers, and we're glad to have you. Let us know how we can help you, and thanks for being with us.